Get it, get it, get it, get it, get it.
We're in Thibodaux with my good friend Joe, who's going to talk to us today about your
1971 VW Porsche 914.
Here we go. Oh, yeah.
Cajun Classic Cars TV in Thibodaux, Louisiana, Cajun country, y'all, at the Jean Lafitte National Park and Preserve.
When you're along the banks of Bayou Lafourche in Thibodaux, Louisiana, you are definitely in Cajun country. And you're also in the heart of sugarcane country. As early as 1808, it was a trading post in a small village then known as Thibodauxville, named after local planter Henry Thibodaux, the son of Acadian exiles. In 1838, the name was shortened to Thibodaux, and that's where we're at today, talking with Joe and Lucinda. As you can tell by their wardrobe, they're definitely Porsche fans. Full disclosure, Joe and I go way back when we were both starving DJs at a now-defunct rock and roll radio station in Thibodaux. Now, the stories that happened there we can't share publicly, but we can share the story of Lucinda and Joe's Porsche 914. Let's get right to it. So, Joe, tell us how you acquired the Porsche 914.
The car I have here, 71 VW Porsche 914, about 3 years ago, I acquired it from friends of the original owner who were taking care of it at the time, had a little bit of work done. It was in Belchase, Louisiana, and I had seen it advertised. Got in touch, worked out what we thought would be a deal here or there, which didn't work out. Got it for half of the original price that he was asking, which was a really good deal. The wife, of course, liked it, gave the okay, blessing, and we made the trip with the trailer down to Belchase. She heard the car run. I had the opportunity beforehand to inspect it to know that it had good bones, and it was worth a restoration, though it would be sympathetic. Whatever it needs is what I do at the time. Incidentally, I also do my own work. That was, as I said, 3 years ago. Trailered it home, drove it off the tow dolly, actually, backed into the car, and I've been working on it ever since.
Joe, what kind of work have you done on the car?
Replacing and rebuilding all four disc brake calipers, adding new pads, having the rotors turned, doing other things, correcting issues with the fuel injection. So it's original fuel injection, 31,000 miles approximately, original. So the car's in really good shape, good bones. So other things to be little minor details, electrical. There was an issue where it burnt fuses, found out what it was. Someone had connected lights wrong when they had repainted the car. That's another story all in itself.
Oh, hey, look.
Duck!
We've been photobombed by ducks.
Joe, tell me about the connection between VW and Porsche on this car.
The VW Porsche connection had to do with the handshake deal at the time of 1968 between the head of Porsche and the head of the Volkswagen at that time, Heinz Nordhoff. It was a handshake deal, which unfortunately Heinz Nordhoff passed away, and before things really got underway. As it turned out, some of the bodies made by Karmann Coachworks in Osnabrück, Germany. A portion were supposed to go to Stuttgart for Porsche to assemble for their replacement of the Porsche 912 as their entry-level, low-end car. And the rest were going to go to Wolfsburg, Volkswagen factory, so they could have a sporty car to add to their lineup in their showrooms to replace the Volkswagen Karmann Ghia. There's the connection between the Karmann Coachworks. They made the same bodies. As it happened, it turned out to be more expensive for Porsche, and it ended up being about $1,000 less than a comparable Porsche 911 with the six-cylinder, and it wasn't as popular. However, on the racetrack, Porsche did race them at Le Mans, and they did quite well, as I understand, 6th overall in the class, and behind Porsche 917. That being said, in Europe, they sold as a VW Porsche 914. In the United States, however, they did a little bit of fancy footwork and decided to just call it the Porsche 914. And it had plain, generic hubcaps on the VW steel wheels. I put the VW logo hubcaps on because I know there's a connection between both companies from the beginning. They have the same DNA. The original Porsche was a mid-engine car, which this is, but a mid-engine car with a modified VW Volkswagen engine.
So you're at a car show and somebody says, "Nice Porsche." What do you say?
Oh, similar to the people that have a Jaguar or a Jaguar. Porsche is pronounced Porsche, 2 syllables, not Porsche. The benefits of this car in particular, being mid-engine, besides the handling aspects, very good on equal tire wear, but at the same time, you get a lot more space than you would think. It has 2 trunks, for instance. You don't have a back seat. Well, you get a trunk in its space. You put the engine where the back seat would go, so you end up with a rear trunk. Still rear engine, but ahead of the rear axles. So you have a space in here, which is also designed to store the targa top that comes off and fits in these clips with the front latches resting here. Moving on to the front, you still have more trunk space. I forget what the statistics are, the actual cubic feet, but it's quite a bit. You can haul a lot of groceries home in these vehicles. It's pretty deep. Also underneath is where your front tire stores. And in some of their good German design, it is, believe it or not, designed to where this pushes forward and does not intrude upon the interior space where you're driving. Several of these cars have been shown to be quite sturdy in common accidents for their occupants. But like I said, lots of storage space. Gas tank, of course, is up here, like a few other VW products such as the Beetle. And now it's time to go topless. Matter of releasing 2 rear latches on each side. Then you have the 2 in front that fold conveniently, he says. Top is off. Low profile boxer or flat post 4-cylinder engine. Some call it pancake or suitcase because of its low profile. Same thing used in the later model VW vans. Strong, durable, and good for performance. Easily upgraded for more performance. Let's go for a ride. Ready to roll. It is a 5-speed transmission, what is known as a racing pattern or dog leg, whereas there is a spring lockout to the left. First is toward you, and reverse is straight up. And if you're not careful and things aren't adjusted right, or you have bushings that are worn, when you go from first to second a little too enthusiastically, sometimes you get a nice little grinding sound from your reverse gear, which you try not to do. So, but it's first is mainly a takeoff gear in the racing world. Then you get to out of the lockout into the normal H pattern, second, third, fourth, and fifth. Driving the early cars, for certain, it's a little tricky with the shifting. That's it. You always have to be mindful of what you're doing. But once you're going, it's a very comfortable car. It's rack and pinion steering, which today doesn't sound like much to anyone. But at the time, this is one of the earlier vehicles that was mass marketed to people that had rack and pinion steering. It makes for a nice, precise handling. And since it's such a light car, it's really easy to drive. The steering is not hard work at all. Instrument cluster is Like I said, most VWs, of course, didn't have a tachometer. Porsche cars usually had the tachometer front and center. It was one of the important things in a performance car, whether it be a 356. That's called grinding season in southeast Louisiana. It is an air-cooled engine, and it does better turning higher RPMs and getting more air over the cylinders and cooling the oil in the oil cooler itself. Then lugging around town, getting phenomenal fuel economy, but making it work harder and overheating them.
How many miles per gallon would you say you get?
Unfortunately, I haven't been able to test this car because common thing with VDO speedometers is it has a short distance trip. But some people never realize that if you try to reset it while you're rolling, there are nylon bevel gears inside of the speedometer that get damaged and you end up losing your odometer. The speedometer is working fine. I've tested it out. It is near accurate, but I don't have the odometer. I would guess, like the other cars, it's capable of 32 miles to the gallon.
Well, we made it back to the Jean Lafitte National Park and Preserve in Thibodaux, Louisiana, along the banks of Bayou Lafourche. I'm Flying Brian, and thanks so much to Lucinda and Joe for letting me share their Porsche 914 today. Be sure to share your car for a future episode at Cajun Classic Cars TV.